The fear in Ruth's sister's voice is chilling. It's the kind of call that stops your heart. She's not just scared for herself. She's terrified of what her brothers become. Eddie Routh, a Marine veteran, was unraveling his PTSD, tearing at his grip on reality. How does someone who served honorably end up here? It's a gut punch, knowing Chris, Kyle, and Chad Littlefield were trying to help him, not harm him. This case forces us to ask, where did we fail veterans like Routh?
Routh appears agitated in the video. He squirms around in the back seat. Other times, he rests his head with his eyes closed.
911,
We need to get in the car. Yes, ma'am. My brother just came by here. I was at He's now arrested. He told me that he's committed a murder. I'm terrified for my life.
Okay, hold on.
I don't know if he's going to come back here.
Okay. What's his name and what did he leave in?
His name is Eddie Routh. Come on, Dave. Get your shoes on. Let's go.
How do you spell his last name?
R-O-U-T-H. I'm sorry. I'm really scared. Hurry up. Get in the car. Now, listen, I don't know if he's being honest with me.
I know.
Apparently, I'm just really terrified. I don't even know where your police department is. Is it over there?
Over by the highway.
It used to be the church.
Yes, ma'am.
It used to be a church.
I'm just going to stay on the phone with you until you get here, okay? And who did he say he had killed?
He said that he killed two guys. They went out to a shooting range, and he's all crazy. I don't know if he's on drugs or not, but I know that he's been. Let me talk to you. My husband's going to talk to you because I'm so nervous.
He said he killed two guys at a shooting range.
Shooting range he was talking about?
He didn't say.
He didn't say, okay.
He was recently diagnosed with PTSD.
With what?
He's been acting PTSD.
TPSD?
Yeah, post-traumatic stress disorder.
Okay.
And he's been acting a little weird from that. He just got out of a mental hospital, actually.
Okay, what hospital did he get out of?
Green Oaks.
When did he get out of Green Oaks?
Shot and killed Navy SEAL sniper Chris Kyle and Chad Littlefield at a gun range in Glen Rose on February 2, 2013. Routh stole Kyle's pickup and fled the scene and was later found sitting in the parked vehicle, where officers heard him talking about voodoo, the apocalypse, and people feeding on his soul. Audio from the arrest showed Routh saying that everything was happening so fast and that "I don't know if I'm going insane." He went on to ask an officer if it's voodoo that's upon us, and "I can feel everybody feeding on my soul." Routh then sped off and started a police chase, but the pickup he was driving broke down on the freeway, after which he was forced to surrender. Before the interrogation begins, Routh seems far too relaxed and seems oblivious to the gravity of his situation. At this point, he is already a suspect in the double homicide, which explains why he's still in handcuffs.
Listening to Routh ramble about voodoo and souls is unsettling, like he's lost in a world only he can see. His calm demeanor in handcuffs. That's what makes this so eerie. The detective's trying to reach him, but it's like talking to a ghost. Mental illness doesn't justify murder, but it begs the question, could more support have stopped this? It's hard not to feel the weight of that missed chance.
In this building, and we'll talk about the government. The government wants me to read constitutional rights, physicality, protections, and also I'm gonna read those to you, and then we can talk. Well, the Constitution, who cares? Yeah, let me just read that, and we'll go from there. And, you have the right to remain silent and not make any statement at all, and any statement you make may be used against you at your trial. Any statement you make may be used as evidence against you in court. You have the right to have a lawyer present to advise you prior to any question. If you are unable to employ a lawyer, you have the right to have a lawyer appointed to advise you prior to and during any question. You have the right to terminate the interview at any time. You understand all right? I go around and talk to people a lot. And I never knew counseling was more, counseling between men and women needed to be more heavy in the world than it did. But when you're surrounded on all fronts where you began, you can't just start in one place, Right. You understand what I was talking about, right?
The detective has just read him his Miranda rights, and immediately after, Routh begins talking about his beliefs about counsel. However, the detective is taking none of it and immediately brings him back to the main issue of Kyle and Littlefield.
Well, I've been living with somebody with their hand on my ass my whole life. Yeah. I'm not okay with that. That is not right. Somebody doing that to you. It's so sad how it had to happen and stuff, and how it did happen. I just wish it would stop, There are world councils that can speak about this. And, there has to be to keep people accountable. Right. Evidently, You're right. For stuff like this, there are people that you can't walk on the ground with because they never walked on the same ground with you, you know what I mean? Right. Well, I want you to know, I work for the Texas Rangers, and what we do is we investigate major crimes, homicides. We have all the resources that we utilize to look into those kinds of cases. You understand what I'm saying? And I know what you went through today has been very difficult for you.
The detective uses psychological pressure by telling the suspect that he is convinced of his guilt. In this case, the goal is not to get Routh to confess to the crime, but to understand his motive or reason for committing it. To do this, the detective attempts to build rapport with the suspect. Rapport is an interactive concept that characterizes the relationship between an interviewer and a subject. An interrogation is typically perceived as beginning when rapport is absent. The interrogator attempts to develop it at the outset and maintains it throughout, and sometimes reclaim it when lost. A popular theoretical conception of establishing rapport suggests that three elements must be present. First, both parties should be focused on the same objectives and attuned to a common mindset. Second, the interaction should flow comfortably. And third, both parties should generally have positive feelings toward one another. The detective reassures Routh that he understands how he feels to get him to open up. Chris Kyle was the deadliest sniper in the history of the U.S. Army. He himself recounted his time with the Navy SEALs, the main special operations force of the U.S. Navy, in the bestseller American Sniper. Clint Eastwood used the autobiography to make the 2014 film of the same name. Kyle the Legend, as his comrades in arms called him, or the Devil of Ramadi, as his enemies knew him, became a SEAL sniper in 1999. In the 4 tours of Iraq during the war, he allegedly registered 255 kills, although the Pentagon only recognized 160. Even so, the Pentagon figure makes him the deadliest sniper in the history of the U.S. Army. In 2009, Kyle was honorably discharged from the Army, returned to Texas, and started a security company. He also counseled other veterans with problems.
Well, he was the one that was protecting the schools, from my mom. My mom, she was a teacher, school teacher. Now I finally met the guy, I smelled it for what it was worth. I was like, what's his last name? He was a Kyle. Kyle? Yeah, he was Kyle.
Several months earlier, 25-year-old former Marine Routh had moved back in with his mother, Jody, in Lancaster, Texas. Jody was an employee at the school Chris Kyle's children attended. After Jody approached Kyle about her son's issues and asked for his help, Kyle agreed to share his military and mental health experiences with Routh.
And what's that other guy's name?
Chad Littlefield was a proud lifelong resident of Texas, born in Dallas and graduated from DeSoto High School in Dallas in 1995. He worked at DeSoto's Eagle Labs, an oil services firm, as its facilities and logistics manager. Kyle and Littlefield were workout partners and soccer dads in Texas. They regularly visited the firing range both for professional training and to fulfill the mission of Kyle's charitable foundation. Littlefield was involved with Kyle's cause and volunteered to install workout equipment in disabled veterans' homes.
I couldn't even remember. And when was the first time you met the other guy? First time I ever met either one of them was yesterday. I didn't know who they were, you know. Yeah. Okay. I knew who they were, but I didn't know, who they were. Okay. It's very evident now who they were because I'm obviously here on the top side of the world. So, yeah. No. Well, how did you meet them? Did you meet them at your house, or did they came and got me at my house? So, and where did they take you?
Kyle and Littlefield picked up Routh at his home, and they drove to a shooting range in Chalk Mountain, Texas as part of therapy.
Ruth's confession to his sister is heartbreaking. He thought Kyle and Littlefield were threats, but they were there to help him heal. Chris Kyle, a hero who survived war, and Chad Littlefield, a devoted friend both gunned down by the very person they reached out to. The irony is crushing. Kyle's text, "This dude is straight up nuts," shows he sensed danger, but it was too late. It's a betrayal that cuts deep.
You saw your sister today. And you told her something bad happened, right? What did you tell her? I told her I had to kill a man today.
After leaving the shooting range in Kyle's black pickup truck, Routh went to his sister's apartment around 5:45 p.m. Routh then told his brother-in-law and sister Laura that he and two other people were out shooting target practice and he couldn't trust them, so he killed them before they could kill him. Routh told them that he traded his soul for a new truck. Laura Blevins told police her brother seemed out of his mind, saying people were sucking his soul and that he could smell the pigs. He said he was going to get their souls before they took his. When she asked Routh who he had killed, he said Chris Kyle and Kyle's friend.
It wasn't a want to or a need. It was a need. I had to get out of that situation I was in today. I mean, if not, I was going to be the next one that would be up there getting my head shot and live it off,
Routh states that he believed that he needed to kill or else he would be killed, even though there was no apparent threat to his life, and he was the one being helped. Almost as a premonition, during the trip to the shooting range, a worried Kyle texted Littlefield in the vehicle, "This dude is straight up nuts. He's sitting right behind me, watch my six." Littlefield texted back, using a military reference for watching one's back.
And how many did you have to kill today? 2. How many times did you shoot them today?
Briley asked Routh to recount the number of times he shot the victims. He will then go on to ask him to describe events as they happened in the shooting range. Such information is crucial to determine if Routh knew what he was doing at the time of the incident.
A few shots were fired. How close were you to them? I was right up close to them. I didn't mean to be so close, but did they know you were going to shoot? They didn't know? Why do you think that? Because their training wasn't as good. My training's been better, my life. Who did you shoot first? The one that I could identify. did not take out his soul, he was coming to take mine next. Or something like his gangsters was going to take one of my souls next. One of his kids' gangsters. I'm just tired of playing chess with my life. It's not about playing chess pieces of life. I mean, it is about playing chess pieces in life, obviously. The chess holds the power. Right. Was there a time today you used any drugs?
After rambling about taking souls and how he's tired of playing chess with his life, Briley asks Routh about his drug use because he thinks there is a correlation between his bizarre comments and drugs. It seems Briley does not want to buy the idea that Routh did not know what he was doing when he shot Kyle in Littlefield. Remember, detectives are all too familiar with suspects feigning insanity to avoid trial, or at least get a lighter sentence if found guilty.
Yeah, I did use some tobacco today. And some other kind of drugs. That's true, right? Pure adrenaline, yes. Yeah. I've been running on pure adrenaline for a couple days now straight. This is one of the first time I've got to feel safe was up here at this police station. Right. With more police around me. Yeah, I was kind of looking at your eyes a little bit constricted. I thought maybe you might have used some methamphetamine or something today. I have not. Oh, you have not? I did not. Okay. Have you used them? I've been having such a hard time sleeping because I haven't been taking drugs. And I can't sleep at night. Well, who can sleep in that world? The Sandman keeps winning, you know what I mean? I tell what I know is right to get out the front door. Well, it just keep coming back in my ass. Fight me some more. Yeah, no, you know. Let me ask you, have you ever used methamphetamine before? Never. Drugs is what's bringing us into these wars ways. I know it is. It's about what drugs can get done the fastest by the quickest drug lords will. It's not about that. It's about getting everybody healthy together. You know. You can eat souls when you're down here. You know, the ones that you're doing. But you can never make any more after the true souls are gone. You know, once all the true souls are gone, you're fucked. About what time did this happen? Maybe I think, I don't know, maybe around 2 o'clock or so. And after you killed them, what did you do next? Fled. I didn't know what else to do. My adrenaline was so high, I didn't know what was right, I didn't know what was wrong. I mean, I know what was right now, but I left, you know.
Rouse states that he fled the scene after he killed his victims. This may lead the judge to deny him the insanity defense.
Ruth's remorse feels real, but it's tangled in his paranoia. He says he's sorry, yet believes he had to kill to survive. That contradiction is what makes this case so complex. The detective's pressing him to admit he knew right from wrong, and Ruth's answers, part confession, part delusion, show a man trapped in his own mind. It's not just about guilt, it's about a system that let his mental health spiral.
Show me your finger. Well, the keys are in it. You know, your keys? No, the keys are in it. Oh, the keys are in it. So it was never really like, you know, the keys were already in the truck. It was, yeah, pretty much given to me. So, what did you do with the gun that you had? I mean, did you take it with you into the vehicle and then drive away? That is. Did you feel bad for doing that? Yes. Guilty. You know, what you do today is wrong, right? You understand that? Guilty. What do you think should happen? I think you keep covering it up forever. That's the reason you play around, because you know it's wrong.
In the next few minutes, Briley brings up the idea that Routh knew what he was doing during and after killing Kyle in Littlefield.
Well, I knew that there was certain shit that was wrong about it. Some of that certain shit was killing him. You knew that was wrong. Right? Right. And you knew driving away, taking that truck was wrong. And where did you drive to after that? And neither side was being nice about it, you know. Did you do any target practicing today? I did. Tell me about that. Well, you know, I loaded up a 45 and I shot in it. You know, what kind of distance? Wasn't a distance or anything, but it was out there a little ways, you know, it wasn't far. But still hit my mark when I was able to hit my mark true, you know, absolutely. What else did you shoot today? Oh, no. Okay. What kind of 45 was it you shot? Did some target practicing with? It was, I guess it was like a revolver. Was that gun used to shoot anyone today? A revolver? No. Alright. What other kinds of guns did you target practice with today? Well, there's a bunch of other ones out there. Boy, I was out there, and I never shot any of the targets, so. Yeah. Those bunches of other guns you mentioned, did you shoot anything with them? No. I left them for what they were. what we're meant to be here for, some for purpose. You know? Yeah. Was the other guy named Chad? Yeah. You remember that to be true, right? Yeah. Where did you shoot him?
Briley tries to establish Routh's motive for the murder of Chris Kyle, and Routh remains silent, which makes Briley more convinced that Routh is aware of the crime. Later in his trial, his defense called family members, friends, and a psychiatrist who testified that Routh had serious mental issues before the murders in February 2013. Psychiatrist Dr. Mitchell Dunn, who had interviewed Routh in the spring of 2014, testified that Routh told him that 1 month before the shooting, Routh believed his co-workers were cannibals and wanted to eat him. Dunn said that it was his expert opinion that Routh had a mental illness. However, forensic psychologist Randall Price, who was called by the prosecution as a rebuttal witness, testified that Routh knew that what he was doing was wrong. Price said that Routh had paranoid personality disorder, which is not a mental disorder, and that Routh's psychotic symptoms were largely due to heavy marijuana and alcohol abuse. But in cross-examination, Price conceded that Routh did not sound normal in part of the confession as seen in the footage. "I killed them because they weren't talking to me." This is the only explanation that Eddie Ray Routh has given so far about why he murdered Chris Kyle and Chad Littlefield on February 2, 2013. The fact that one of the victims is the deadliest sniper in American history, coupled with the timely release of the film about his life, turned the trial into a spectacle. On February 24, 2015, after only 2.5 hours of deliberation, the jury found Eddie Ray Routh guilty of the murders of Chris Kyle and Chad Littlefield. He was sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole and is currently an inmate at the Texas Department of Criminal Justice prison.
All right, we, the jury, find the defendant Eddie Ray Routh guilty of the felony offense of capital murder as charged in the indictment. That verdict is signed by Ms. Stafford as foreperson of the jury. You may be seated at this time.
The jury's verdict, life without parole, closes this chapter, but it doesn't heal the wounds.
Chris.
Kyle and Chad Littlefield's families lost loved ones who were trying to do good. Ruth's story is a stark reminder of untreated mental illness and the cracks in our support for veterans. This isn't just a crime, it's a tragedy that leaves us questioning how we protect those who protect us. We owe them better.